Hi folks, this is Slick Slices here. I have a beautiful little knife for you today. This is a handmade custom knife by a South African knife maker called Thys Meads. He's based in Port Elizabeth in South Africa, I believe. As you probably know, Kongi's knife sales have brought in quite a lot of South African custom knives. I don't know if that's where this one came to the UK through, but occasionally he has one or two. It's actually an extremely nice little knife. It's a sort of traditional slip joint only. It would probably be fair to call it a fusion knife for reasons that I will sort of come to. I mean, it's a traditional slip joint knife with a half stop, pinned construction, and so forth. But it's not always exactly what it seems, and not necessarily the worse for it. I mean, most obviously, of course, it's got these lovely carbon fibre covers which have I think it's copper flex in them, which, I hope comes over in the video, but as you move it in the light, they do flicker beautifully. And you've got this lovely big, it's not quite a bird's eye pivot, but a substantial pivot pin there. And you've got this bronze, I believe it's bronze, inlaid shield, which is just absolutely perfectly beautifully done, which for a handmade knife is no mean feat. I mean, granted, these are expensive knives, so you expect high quality, and you have a right to expect it, I think. And in terms of such, it is, the fit and finish is absolutely perfect all round. I don't think, no matter how long you look, you'd find anything to complain about. I suppose there is a wee bit, perhaps looks like it might be gapping there, but it's not. I think it's just a bit of ooze that's got itself on the knife. Yeah, it is. The other thing, there's a tiny little gap between the spring and the liners, just in the last millimetre or so. I think that's because it probably has washers in there. I don't know that for certain. I can't absolutely see them, but I'm pretty sure it has some little washers in there. So that's one of the things you wouldn't normally expect in a traditional knife. But then you've got stainless steel liners as well as stainless steel spring and stainless steel blade, and that it could be a potential recipe for disaster, because one of the things a traditional knife does in having brass liners is that the brass acts as a sort of natural lubricant between the liners and the blade. If you are all traditional steel, you have a potential for corrosion. With a stainless steel like this, it's unlikely that you're going to have a problem with corrosion, but you do have that added smoothness of the joint by putting in the washers. So we've got a non-traditional cover material. We have got washers in the joint. We've got a very good action to this knife. It's a bit on the springy side for me, but it's not one of those ones that's sort of a nail breaker that you really get stuck with. My only problem is it's a bit springy, and the consequence of that is that I'm a bit frightened of it, because it can spring into the half stop, and I've cut my finger on it before, because it just springs away from me like that. But in terms of the action itself, absolute thwack of authority. It's the sort of knife you're not going to be frightened of using. You can see here in the back what I was talking about, where I think there's washers in there, because the spring is slightly narrower than the gap between the spring and the liners. So it would be odd to think it made that mistake when he's made no other mistake, so I assume it's deliberate. Now, the other thing that is sort of slightly odd from a traditional versus fusion knife point of view, and that is that he has in there a stop pin, which I hope you can see it in there. So rather than just relying on the kick to stop the knife hitting the back of the handle, it's got that stop pin. Now, I actually think that's a good idea. I know traditionalists will say, "Oh, but it doesn't have the same sound." Well, maybe it doesn't, but this is a really good sound, so I'm not going to complain about it. Now, I believe this is his city knife pattern. Obviously, there's nothing on here to tell me what the name of the pattern is. The only thing written on here is Meads, and doesn't even tell me what steel it is. I would suspect it's probably something like 154 cm or something like that, because it's a custom handmade knife. These are not cheap, but nor are they viciously expensive. Compared to some, I think they probably run in the £500 to £600 mark. So, it's not an inexpensive knife, but it's not like some of the American customs that you get, which are similar to this, but they might charge over $1,000 for them. So I think this is, if there is such a thing as good value in the custom knife market, this probably represents it. They come nicely presented as well, in a nice, it does a sort of nice quality box, but the sort of thing you would expect from a custom knife. Not anything gimmicky or fancy, but just nicely done. The knife itself is beautiful in terms of size and proportion. This would be a perfect little knife to carry in your pocket. If you've got a little bit more control over your hands than I have, it's also easy to open and close. It's good solid, I would say lock, but retention when in the open position, and certainly in the closed. In terms of size, just by way of comparison, I have my little dragonfly here. Just position that a bit better. So, I'm not sure if this is a Wharncliffe blade or if it's a sort of almost a spear point. I'd probably call it modified Wharncliffe. The blade edge is not straight. It's got a bit of curve to it, but you could call it a spear point. I don't know. I don't get too hung up on the names, but it's as I say, in terms of size, a little bit bigger than the Dragonfly, but still very much street legal in the UK knife in terms of absolute measurements. You've got a blade that is sort of 2 7/8 inches long and an overall length of just shy of 6.5 inches. So it's a good size and a folded length there of 3.5. So it's a good good size to put in your pocket. It's light in weight, but feels solid. The metal liners and the metal spring and so forth give it a degree of solidity, but the carbon fibre covers keep the weight down to a reasonable level. You've got a hand rubbed satin blade, which you just can't get that from a machine-made knife. You just can't do it. It's just particularly lovely. The nail nick seems shallow, but actually it's very efficient. It works well. The sort of edge that you catch with your nail is kind of sharp in a good way. It's not sharp and it tears your nails, but you get a good grip on it. There's no roundedness to it. And I think that's because it's cut rather than stamped. So again, that's not traditional. Traditionally, they're usually stamped on a fly press, and that gives them slightly rounded edges, which can mean they're not quite so easy to catch. By having this cut, it just gives that edge just a little bit of extra sharpness and traction. You've got a nice plunge line. You've got no sharpening choil, which is probably actually more traditional, but I can see that it's always going to be a little bit tricky to get this part of the blade sharp and not develop a curve. It's already got a little bit of a smile in there. In terms of markings, it's very clean. We have, of course, the name of the maker there in Mead. That's the only marking on it at all, I believe. Certainly I haven't seen anything. I don't think there's anything inside it. No. So it's lovely and clean. If I was being ultra critical, I would say I like a knife with a stamp rather than a laser etched name on it. But it's attractive. It also, of course, in future years will make it more difficult to identify things because there's no country of origin or any detail at all about the maker. Just the word meat. Still, there's nothing really to complain about with this knife. It's just beautiful. It's got a lovely swedge on the back of the blade there, which gives quite a fine pointy point, but the back of the blade is reasonably solid. It's a good solid knife, but comes to a nice shiny slim point. Also comes to a very nice slim edge. It is wickedly sharp. You don't expect anything less really, but this is one of those knives that if you have expectations of a little custom slip joint, this is going to meet all of your expectations right up to the limit. You're not going to buy one of these knives, get it home and think, nice, but not at that price. This is a good knife to carry. Now its owner took it out of his pocket to lend it to me to film. He was carrying it and using it as an everyday carry knife. Now, it's obviously not had it's not had the use and abuse of my little dragonfly, but the dragonfly is my rough and tough everyday carry knife, so that's okay. This one obviously has had a little bit more respect. He carries it in a slip, and incidentally he carries it in a think twice, cut once slip from Chris Reeve. So this is, I think it's a slip off his Menandy, I think. But this is very much in the ilk of the Menandy. Quality little, smart little. I hate to use the term, but gentleman's carry knife, but a slip joint, so legal to carry in the UK. I think he calls it his city knife, so it's clearly designed for carrying in the city, and this is the sort of knife you could slip in your Savile Row suit and it wouldn't disturb the lines. But I don't think there's much more to say about this knife other than the fact it's really beautiful. This is one of those that I will be sad to see go away again. And others, come and go, and some of them are really quite expensive and high quality pieces, but I'm happy to see them come and go away again, just to have experienced them. This is one I will be sad to see go. It's one I would love to be able to hang on to, but I won't be getting one of these anytime soon. And with Mead's books being closed, it won't be anything. He won't be sending me one for a review as a review sample anytime soon. He can sell as many as he can make. So anyway, there we are. If you like this stuff, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this stuff, please subscribe. Remember to ring the bell. I have got some other bits coming up, some of which I've been promising for a while, and I will hopefully deliver very soon. So thank you all for watching. See you next time. Bye.